Got it. Okay, so hi, I'm David Stanley, and I'm with Jonathan Tuck, who's someone I know from LinkedIn. Yes, and today I hope to talk a little about the flat Earth theory. Yes, so Jonathan, could you just simply introduce yourself um, for starters? Yeah, and say something about your qualifications and everything. I know you're a Reiki master. Yes.
Oh, thank you, David. Thanks for inviting me along. It's a great pleasure to be with you. Yeah, so my name's Jonathan Tuck. I call myself a holistic energy scientist. I completed my doctorate degree in energy materials and energy science at the University of Oxford in 2001, having been introduced to quantum physics in my first degree. I have spent my entire life obsessed with investigating and researching the truth about life, the universe, and everything. Going way back to when I was early teenager, I began to investigate human psychology. Um, After that, I worked out how binary code is so fundamental in the function of the human brain. Um, I the culmination of my life's work, I guess, up until um, recently, was a book I published, which I actually wrote for my children to try and save them a bit of time working it all out. And in that book, I provided an abundance of references. So if nothing else, they can do their own research and work out what they want to believe for themselves. Um, Currently, I'm I'm practicing as a spiritual coach and Reiki master teacher, as you said, David. Thank you. And following various other career paths that have come across my way, but essentially anything to do with energy.
Oh, that's great to hear. So, um, your PhD was in 2001. Yes, so it's highly confirmed. Yes. Uh,
Yes, yes. One of the things they can't take away from you.
well, they took it away from me, in fact, in a sense, because I think it was in 2016 I was accepted to do a PhD. Yes. And
Yeah,
then they changed their mind and they said, well, hang on, we want you to do 1 year in masters, in masterclass.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So I said, okay, I'll do that. And I took that year and I wrote my own spiritual doctoral thesis. Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah. Rather than going through the system. Yes. I mean, I was still working with a guy who was looking at things. In fact, he was just helping me translate it into French because I wrote it in English and I had to get it translated into French because I was in France. Yes. Um, but to cut a long story short, um, I had two doctors have a look at the thesis and a student doctor. A student doctor, um, he'd already passed his master's to be a doctor, and
yeah.
he decided to take his PhD um, in at a spiritual level. So he was doing a spiritual PhD. Yes, but I considered him a doctor. Yes, already because of all the years studying he'd done. So I had three doctors have a look at it, and one of them said, "Well, there you go. Why do you need to, go through the university system? You've
Yeah.
got it." Yeah. So sort of unofficial, and it was for me. It was confirmed by the spiritual phenomenon that I received after I wrote it. So that was my real confirmation, rather than what people were saying. Yes, but yeah, a very interesting subject. Long story.
Who needs an official title then when you've got it spiritually anyway?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did try to go back to the university here in England, but they said they couldn't find somebody to overlook um, the PhD, and
Yeah,
so I sort of dropped it because being more spiritually minded, they weren't interested. Yeah,
no, yeah,
but
yeah. You mean a Viva? They couldn't find someone who actually knew anything about spirituality to perform a Viva.
yeah, yeah. What do they call them? A, a PhD guide or something to help
A
you.
supervisor was yeah,
In England, it's called a supervisor. Yeah, I
yeah,
did
yeah.
actually have a supervisor in France, a PhD supervisor, but just for the pre-studies. Yeah, I didn't actually get to the university studies, but he had a look at my uh, self-written
Jesus, yeah.
yeah. So that was very interesting for me anyway. Um, so on to the main topic. You said you wrote to me that you've been studying flat Earth for many years.
Yes,
Yes, and
batteries. You mean
huh?
batteries? Did you say?
No, flat Earth.
Beg your pardon. Sorry. Yes, yes, that makes sense. Yes, yeah, I have. I've watched hundreds of hours of footage, documentaries, and it's an interesting one for me because I think in the bigger picture there are a tremendous amount of very, very plausible arguments for both scenarios, but I'd say more so towards the flat Earth rather than the heliocentrism argument. And yeah, I think it's an extremely interesting topic, and once you get into it, it really is a can of worms, and
Oh,
it's a rabbit hole that has many, many, many different tunnels for you to investigate and explore.
absolutely true. That's and when did you start investigating?
I think one of the first um, documentaries I watched, which really started my deep research, was Down the Rabbit Hole. What the bleep do we know? I don't know if you've come across that one.
And maybe I've like you, I've spent hundreds of hours.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, in answer to your question, that was approximately 2010 to 2014 time period when I first started looking into um, the, the 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 big questions that I began to buy into or formulate surrounding the truth of the life, universe, and everything.
so you were one of the early studiers then, because um, they say that it didn't really come out until 2014. It didn't really catch fire, let's say, until about 2014.
that makes 100% sense, because I remember the first time I saw any public notice of the flat Earth theory was approximately 2015, when I was driving up to from the south of England up to the very north of Scotland. And I remember each time I passed a particular place in Scotland, and I think it was the House of Brewer on the A9 north of Pitlochry. And there was this huge roadside banner that just said Flat Earth. And that was about 2015.
I
But
see.
I do remember that I had come across the concept prior to that. So I think I think I've got my timing correct.
Right. Well, I think I first heard about it in about 2015, 2016. It was probably 2016. Yes. When I was doing research for the doctorate, in fact, yes,
Yeah,
the pre-studies with a supervisor, and I was coming across. I just pushed it to one side, yeah,
yes,
2016, and it wasn't until 2018, well, no, 2020, that I really started taking a notice. And it was in 2021 on the 8th of June. So the anniversary is coming up. The 8th of June. And that was it. Once I started investigating it and contemplating it and um, studying it and doing research on it, then I was kind of hooked. Yes, it's one of
yes, I can imagine.
it's one of those things you can't put down. Yes.
No, it's absolutely fascinating. And I think in the time that I've been studying it, I've come across so many um, different themes, different ideologies, different ways in which it fits into the bigger picture. One of the things I have been extremely grateful for in my own mentality is my ability to build the bigger picture and to look at the bigger picture. And I think there are some things which really don't fit in, but many things help to build that bigger picture, and particularly in terms of um, creation, in terms of our existence and our history, and what's happened pre-history.
Like you, I was studying um, life in the universe. I was studying it really from my studies started in 1980, um, and you could say that it started on the principle as above, so below. And
Yeah,
if you want to study man, study the universe, and if you want to study the universe, study man. So
absolutely. Yeah,
so you've got these two things going, and um, like yourself, because you must have studied uh, Reiki in groups or and things.
yeah,
I was studying this the universe and everything in groups as well. So that was going on for years and years and years. Um, and then in 2019, I started a YouTube group um, called the Spiritual Journey. Yes, and I got 1 year into that, or 1.5 years into that, when the idea of flat Earth was presented to me, and I thought, hang on, I've just, as part of the spiritual journey, I've got to investigate this. Yes,
yeah, yeah,
and and like you say, there are a lot of things you can say for the global view of life, But I think in balance, the flat Earth view of life is perhaps 10% better. Yes. Having said that, we really don't know the shape of the planet or the shape of the pond. Yes.
Yeah,
We don't know the real dimensions. Yes. They just give us the dimensions for the globe, but what what um, what the plane is or what the pond is. And it's funny because the Americans say, "Oh, those limeys, the other side of the pond." Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
yes,
It's like they know that uh, we're living in a pond. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
um, yeah. So from there, what really excited me about it was um, the fact that it connected with my studies in 1980. Yes, but at that time, there was no idea about the the Earth being flat or something. But some of the concepts that were brought forward in these meetings could only fit on a flat Earth. So everything linked up for me.
yeah. I think for me, as I said, the bulk of the arguments for flat Earth stack up absolutely. But the one argument which for me makes me question a spherical Earth is the fact that the dimensions of the Great Pyramid are exactly proportional to the dimensions of what they claim to be our spherical Earth. I don't know if
Oh
you've
yes,
seen,
I've seen this. Yes,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. They make all sorts of claims like that.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Now,
Well,
I'm aware that most of the footage that NASA has put out is all fake. I'm aware that we never went to the moon. That's, where I have a defined opinion, I'm very happy to say it. So I'm aware of a lot of things which point towards the fact that, and as we know, we've been lied to on multiple fronts about pretty much everything since four millennia. So, I think for me, the fact that the Earth is flat wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
nor me. Uh, what caught me was the fact of the sunsets. Yes,
Yeah,
it's kind of it's undebunkable because at sunset, when the sun goes down, normally you just see it go down. Yes,
yes,
you think it's gone below the horizon.
yes,
That's what you think.
yeah,
Now that we've got good cameras, we can actually zoom into it.
yes.
We
And
can,
it keeps going, it keeps going.
yeah, and we
Yeah,
can see that it does. The sun doesn't go below the horizon. Yes, it just starts to disappear into the atmosphere as it moves away. So it doesn't go down, which means if it was to go down, we would see it going down, but it doesn't. What
yeah,
we do is it goes away and it fades away. Yes.
yeah. I've seen multiple models and descriptions, a bit like your flat Earth map behind you, where the sun and moon are actually both the same size, and they move around the flat Earth model there. And as you say, as a result of perspective, it simply moves out of our field of vision and then moves back in again as it circles around the flat Earth structure. Yeah. So I've seen that before, and I've seen other videos. Thank you for sending the video you sent previously, but I've seen other videos where they've got some super high power lenses and they just keep zooming in, and as they zoom in, the sun rises towards them, if that makes sense. But so absolutely yes.
Yeah, it's quite an incredible topic, and um, so that's really your best proof, yes, of flat Earth, which would be, well, what would be your best proof of the flat Earth?
I love the flight path maps. So on when you flatten the circular Earth, flight paths do this. But if you flatten the Earth, the flight paths are all straight.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed that. Unfortunately, um, they will argue and argue and argue that that's not the way it happens. Yes, and so I kind of stay away from flights. I don't worry about it. I did do a bit of flying. I did get up in the sky a few times. Um, so, but I never had time to think about it. Yeah, whether the Earth was flat or not. Um, yeah, that's a hard one to prove because they argue, oh, it's not like that, it's not like that, and they present an alternative, which um, which is kind of possible. Yeah, everything they say can be plausible. It's kind of a plausible deniability of the facts. And so once you get stuck in their plausible, then you think, well, maybe it's not flat. Yeah, maybe
Yes,
that's right.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and I have that all the time. I think, wow, that what they're saying now is so true. Um,
yeah,
and I sort of get caught up in it. In fact, I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and he was very, very into the idea of flat Earth. And a week later, he said, "No, it's not. It's a globe."
so for that purpose, I've developed two primary philosophies. One is it doesn't matter because we're so small that it makes no difference to us. And actually, I think that the disclosure will happen over the coming several years anyway, so we will find out the absolute truth. My other philosophy is that could it possibly be a quantum situation whereby the outcome is determined by the observer? So if the observer uh, sees a flat Earth, then it's flat. But if they see a spherical Earth, then it's spherical. And that's my way of sitting on the quantum fence.
Yeah, it's nice to sit on the fence. The way I put it is I'm only 99% convinced, yes, that it's a
Yes,
flat topographical plane.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
there's always that 1% that can
yeah.
say everything's just an illusion. so um, so to be 100% sure, that would be sort of I'd have to get up in a rocket and see it for myself. I think. Um,
You don't hit the firmament.
yeah. Well, you wouldn't actually see very much of it if you go up there. Yeah. But they now say that perhaps there is something up there, a some sort of vehicle that is um, that could be um, disguised as the ISS. So it's something. There is something up there,
Right.
but we don't know what. Yes.
Yes. No, we have no idea. We have very little idea about a lot of things.
Yeah. The trouble is, everything over our head we can't really measure. Yeah, we can't measure how far it is to the moon. We can't measure how far it is um, to Mars or the stars. Um, but having said that, they do look very close. And I remember one day, because I filmed, I videoed for over a year sunsets and sunrises and star movements.
Yes,
And one day I was looking in the sky, and I was looking for the moon because it was a full moon. And I said, ah, there it is. And it was behind some clouds, some thick clouds. And it turned out to be the sun. I was kind of flabbergasted. I thought they are just so exactly the same size. And
yeah,
with enough cloud cover, you can mistake one for the other quite easily.
yeah. And in a similar sense, I've often looked into the sky and seen the sun and the moon. And I've thought, how is that possible? How does that work?
Yeah. From my the sun and the moon, yeah, and sometimes a planet. The other day, I saw the moon, and under the moon, uh, this was in a nice blue sky. It was basically almost a full moon or something, and I've got the video of it. Um, just under the moon, there was a planet, and that was the first time I'd ever seen that. I which planet it was, I couldn't confirm, but there were some planets close to the moon that day. Yes, well, I checked up on Google.
Speculatively, could that be Nibiru or Planet X or something like that?
Well, it at a stretch it could be, but I think it was more like uh, I don't know, Venus, Jupiter. It was just a speck. Yes, it was just a speck in the sky. Um,
Right?
I don't know. I really, I did check it out on Google, like I say, and there were three different planets that were close to the moon that day. I think Jupiter was one of them, and Venus, and uh, well, three of them. And I thought, well, it's one of those. Like I say,
No,
I've got the video.
I'm fascinated with the sky, but I'm not an expert in the slightest. I don't really know enough. I'd like to know more, but um, yeah, very interesting.
Well, if you stay up for one night and you look at the sky and the stars, uh, perhaps you'll see Jupiter up in the sky, and you'll see it slowly um, move down. Yes, and it'll move. The sky is moving. Yeah, the sky is moving, turning around us, and
Yes,
you'll be able to see Jupiter moving down to the horizon. Well, I think we're out of time here, so perhaps we can continue with this another time. Uh,
yes, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you, David.
it was great speaking to somebody of your high intelligence, obviously, PhD and Ricky Master. So, um, yeah, a spiritual man with a PhD
Thank you.
who has inklings towards the latter. Okay, thank you very much, Jonathan.
Thank you, David.
We'll try and get back in touch in the near future. Okay, and we'll
Thank
have,
you, Stanley. Sending you
have
tremendous energy.
yeah. Okay, so it's bye from me, David Stanley, and the Spiritual Journey, and the Universal uh, Comprehension Academy. And where can people contact you, Jonathan?
Um, I have. Thank you for asking. I have a website which is simply a theory of everything.co.uk.
Oh,
Um, my contact details are there, and if
okay,
you can't me through there, I'll know where you come from. So thank you.
right. Well, I'd like to show you my book, but I don't have it here at hand at the moment. Um,
Well, perhaps we can do a book swap.
well, actually, it's right here. Um, oh, if we've got time, I think this is the emission is going to end. But yeah, you've done a children's book, yeah?
Originally, I wrote it for my children, but oh, that's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, Originally, I wrote my book for my children, but I was encouraged to publish it for a wider audience.
yeah. Okay. Well, I've got two books out, and um, this one is published. It's called
Olympic Fever.
Fièvre. Yes. Now it's a children's book, you know, and it's very interesting because it's basically the spiritual journey. Yes. Um, at that level. Yeah. So it's an
So,
interesting idea.
yeah, no, absolutely. Good audience.
Right. Okay. So um, do you have any other places that they can get in contact with you? How about a YouTube channel? Do you have a
Um, I, all of my videos are on the site, as I said. So it's just a theory of everything.
okay?
Dot UK, and
Okay.
all of my videos, my training videos, and
Okay.
if you share this with me, I can put that on it on
Okay.
the
Well, send me the link through LinkedIn, and I'll put it under the video.
brilliant. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Dan. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye.
Oh, and by the way, the Globers, they say that nobody intelligent, nobody with a PhD would believe in flat Earth. So
Well,
thank you for proving them wrong.
bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.